my password to get into that.
You should
I
write it
just
down. I
tell
hear
us
you
what you
like
think
that
it
kind of
is.
thing.
Oh my God. I was like, why am I taking this as an insult? It's just a clever little reference.
I know you like to write it down.
All
You
right.
love writing it down.
Ooh, okay. A um a few Goldilock Bears podcast with Vincent Cloud.
John Nemitz.
And David Lauer.
And this is the show where we talk about loves, hates, differences, or ambivalences, things we're on the fence about. But before we do any of that stuff, we gotta get some things off our chest and talk about a little topics in a segment we call the Deja Fuse. Take it away, John.
Getting it off my chest. That's exactly what it is. I thought of another comedy trope that people use too much in daily life that annoys me really bad. When you're trying to like remember something or find something, and then someone starts humming the Jeopardy music. I hate that so much.
That is bad. Oh, that's insufferable. Oh my gosh.
I feel like I've seen that on an episode of Big Bang Theory or something.
Yeah, that wouldn't
So
surprise me.
it would be a joke they would use. Yeah.
Uh, Shit. I was thinking about topics or tropes that need to die, but there's so many. I don't know. But yeah, that is a bad one. All your tropes were like what people do in real life. What about like movie tropes that you don't like and TV tropes?
I mean, it's the same thing if they do them in a movie, but the ones that really irk me are the ones that just happen all the time in real life. And I work with a bunch of nerds, so everyone thinks they're funny, but it's like all these really dumb ones.
Wait. Do nerds think does every nerd think they're funny?
No,
Do I think I'm
but
funny?
yeah, you do. But you're right.
Oh, that's so funny. Scott, he shows up on this thing every once in a while. In the comments, he says he hates the shot of like someone walks into the street and immediately gets hit by a car.
And I
What?
hate watching people driving in movies if it's a movie where I think they might get in an accident.
Right, right. There's like the shot, sideways shot, and you'll have the car just suddenly appear.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
that
because
is
I think it's
overdone.
bad or whatever. It's just I hate like it just makes me so uneasy, especially when like your drivers are not watching the road at all. And they're just like, having a conversation with someone either in the back seat or next to them, and they're just like purely like looking at the person and not even like noticing what's in front of them on the road in the slightest.
And they do it so long in the scene
Yeah.
previous to it that you're just like you kind of just accept that like okay, they're just not going to look at the road. That was like the director's decision. Probably nothing's going to happen. And then right then you're like, I knew it. I freaking knew it. I talked myself out of it, but I knew it.
Oh my God. Uh, any other Jasia Fuse, or should we get the show started? What do you guys think?
Oh, we can get it started.
Yeah. All right. Let's. I think I got to start this one. I think I'm
You
on.
got
I got to. Oh, I got two. Sorry. Going back to accents, you were like, I don't like Wisconsin saying, "ta."
No, I didn't say
It's
I didn't
two.
like it. I just said I got reprimanded by a teacher for it, so I tried to train myself not to do it, but I clearly failed.
Yeah, but I've noticed that about myself now. Every single time I have to see, it's crazy, man. All right, well let's start off with a hate. I got some steam I gotta get rid of. Here, take some steam, guys, on the house. All right, so let's talk about my hate, and it's road rage. Now, it's not necessarily because I have it. I don't want it, and I hate hearing about it. I hate seeing it. Um, but what really brought it up was the other week, two incidences within 2 days. I was, the horn was blared at me, and then I got flipped off. I'm like, holy shit. Now, who was in the right here? Okay, so it's the highway and I'm coming onto the highway, right? So the person is driving on the right lane, which I'm going to merge on. No one else is on the highway. This guy could have easily gone to the left lane like any rational human being would have done. But no, he stayed there and he saw me. Like this is a big, it takes a while for the segue to happen, you know? And he didn't budge, neither did I. I got honked at really loud, like "Arr," like so hardcore. Then he flips me off when he passes me by, you know. Um, who was in the wrong? Were we both?
So technically he has the right of way, I think,
Damn it.
but that doesn't mean he's not an asshole. I think
All
that
right.
that sounds horrible. Like, I don't know, like I could be making this up, but I feel like post-COVID, once like people started, like the roads were empty for quite a while and driving was awesome. And then once people like started driving again, they like forgot how to be courteous anymore. Like in this situation, especially, like I feel like nobody gets over for you anymore when you're trying to get onto the highway. Like it's pretty much just like, oh, I need to either like go really fast to make sure I get ahead of them or slow down and hope I can like wedge myself in somewhere. Whereas I feel like in the past, you used to be able to rely on just like, oh yeah, someone will get over and let you in.
Yeah, holy
Yeah,
shit. Go ahead, Dave.
like because I'm such a great driver myself, like I'm constantly trying to drive in a fashion where I'm not going to impede other drivers. Like I don't want them to be like, I don't want to have like 4 or 5 cars behind me going slow because I'm in their way. Or I don't want to have like somebody have to slow down as they're trying to merge because I'm in their way. Like I'm always like trying to move over, get out of their way, like get back to the right lane so they can pass me. Like this is part of being a good driver is being courteous to the ones around you so you're not in their way.
Yeah,
Hmm.
same. And like even to the fact where like I'll go out of my way, like if I'm in like the right lane and you can go straight or turn right, and I'm going straight and I see the person behind me has like his blinker on, if I have time, I'll like move over to the left lane so they can turn right without waiting for the light to turn. Where otherwise they'd have to sit there the entire light if I was in front of them.
I've done that before. I've like turned right when I didn't need to turn right.
Wow. Okay, I've never taken it that far, but yeah.
Well, it was like right next to my house, and it was like this little like outlet mall, and I was like, I can go right and just drive a different block up. Like it was no big deal because it was a city street. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just drive one block over. That way, this guy behind me doesn't have to wait.
Is this bleeding into stoicism in a sense?
Yeah, road rage. I mean, they anyone who suffers from road rage needs to take some lessons in stoicism.
It's true.
Okay, well, I feel like I'm getting some podcast rage. Let me merge and do my thing. So the second thing, I'm not actually bad. The second, so after I was the horn was blown at me and then I was flipped off. The next day, I'm driving around and I clearly, guys, clearly got to the four-way stop, whatever, and then the woman got there, like maybe pretty darn close, but I clearly got there. You saw my car, like, go forward a little bit and then back because I was on the brakes. Then she stopped. Then it was time for me to go. She starts going and she's not even looking my way, but we're both about to hit. So I have to slow down, otherwise we would have hit. So I blared my horn. And yeah, it's cyclical, guys. Cycles, bicycles.
Was it
um,
satisfying?
no, I hate that. Like I said, I hate road rage. I've known people with road rage, like completely misinterpreting someone merging as in being cut off, even though they're like a good, I don't know how many blocks ahead. You know what I'm saying? They're like, can you believe it? And I'm like, no, I can't. Not because it didn't happen. That's not, you weren't cut off. Relax. Um, the one time though, outside of those incidences, lately, every time someone's tailgating me, I get so mad because it's like, dude, if anything pops up in front of me, I have to hit the brakes and you're going to hit me. There's a simple 2-second rule that we have, right? I believe it's 2 seconds. And yeah, without fail, if someone's right behind me, it's more like I don't want to get mad, but I will get mad if something happens. So yeah, you could feel the slight I don't want to be an angry guy. I try and keep that down. Stoicism.
You know what's better than getting angry is slowly
Getting
baiting
even.
the
Oh.
other, just slowly baiting the other driver into getting really pissed off. Just like, oh, they think I'm going kind of slow here. Let me just I'm on cruise control. I'm just gonna go down 2 miles per hour. And then they're following a little bit closer, and then you wait, and then you do it again, and you're like, they're still not passing me. This is weird. And just go a little bit slower. And like, don't ever touch your brakes so they know that you're slowing down. They just kind of figure it out when they're about to hit into you. And it's I don't know,
Wow.
satisfying to me because I'm like, I'm not getting upset. Are you getting upset? And it's just like passive aggressive driving. It's great.
I did that to a semi truck.
Oh no.
It was,
That's
I
a
was
death
like,
wish.
right? Yeah, I was like, man, I probably chose my enemies wrongly because he could easily go on his, breaker, breaker. We got a piece of shit, let's get a convoy. I don't know. What do you guys think about road rage?
I definitely don't feel angry very much, even if someone is driving like an asshole. But sometimes I feel like it's my duty to honk to let them know like that is not acceptable what you just did. But then I also fear like road rage and like are they gonna have like a disproportional response to like getting honked at and like pull out a fucking gun or something? So that's always like in the back of my mind. The only time I really honk is if like someone's gonna hit me if they don't stop what they're doing, or if they're like sitting at the red or at a green light because they're looking at their phone or something, then I don't mind honking at them. The worst case of road rage I've seen is I was driving on the interstate and I think I was in the middle lane, and in the left lane, someone like, I think accidentally like pulled out in front of a car that was already in the left lane and cut them off. So like the car behind them actually had to like slam on their brakes. But then that guy got mad. He crossed like 2 lanes of traffic to get to the right lane so he could speed up, wove back into the other traffic again, went in front of the guy who accidentally cut him off, slammed on his brakes. So then the guy had to like slam on his brakes to stop. Like it was basically like, you do this to me, I'm gonna fucking do it to you and see how you like it. But like with like a dozen other cars around on the road, but he was just like so blinded by his rage that he just like did this crazy thing. I couldn't believe it.
Kind
What
of
about you guys?
appreciate his commitment to his rage at that point. Like he's not like I'm kind of mad. He's like I'm full on fucking mad. Like I don't really get angry at all. I do get annoyed sometimes if like I'm in a hurry to get somewhere, but like that's really kind of my fault if I'm in a hurry. Like I could have left earlier. Like you can get slowed down. Um, I get more like annoyed at road construction stuff. Especially when they like close down like miles of highway with cones, but I'm like, there's no one working on this road. Why is it shut down? So like I'm not even like upset at other drivers, but just like the road construction crews like closing off lanes of traffic that don't really need to be closed. Um, my I know my mom one time, she is a very like cautious, slow driver because she's like 68 years old. Like she's, senior citizen technically. So she drives slow and somebody like cut her off or like was tailgating her, and my mom, her biggest complaint is people are always tailgating me, and I'm like, well mom, it's because you're driving slow. And she's like, I'm driving the speed limit. She's like, you can go around me if you want. She's like, but I'm going to drive the speed limit, just go around. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, Nothing wrong with that. But apparently somebody got pissed off at her because she was going slow and they gave her the finger and they were honking at her, gave her the finger a couple times, and then they were just following her. And they followed her for a couple miles through Eau Claire. And my mom, she was like afraid. She was like fucking terrified. She's like, I can't even drive home right now because what if they have a fucking gun? Like, I can't let them know where I live. So she didn't know what the hell to do. And eventually they like turned off and left her alone. But I'm like that's like a reason to carry a gun because like there's psychopaths out there that can be like just triggered from no reason. And like road rage really like brings out the crazy in people. It's just one of those things. Like the same way that uh like little league baseball brings out the rage in certain parents. It's like road rage does it for those same people. I swear they're the same people.
Yeah, the same percentage of killing and injuries and deaths. Same amount. I gotta say, and this is again so much stoicism interlaced in all this stuff. But I remember John, you and Jesse showed up, and I don't know if you guys just decided this was it, but they're like, you guys were like, yeah, we drive slow. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, get in, and I got in. And we were just driving slow, and there was no sense of hurrying or anything like that, and it was just a very casual drive, and guys just drove like that the whole time, and I'm like, all right, I could adopt this because I considered myself a laid back person. So I think that little drive took out all the speed demon out of me. I was like, yeah, there's no need, you know? So I think that really helped me be calm when I'm on the road. I feel like I'm a very good driver. Like Dave, you said you feel that way about yourself. I feel like I'm very, very good. I stay calm under pressure. I'm baby driver almost. Yeah.
You've even got the tinnitus.
Whoa, he's got tinnitus?
Baby Driver?
Yeah, I've never seen that movie. I was making
Oh, yeah.
affectionless
That's
joke.
why he's always got those earbuds in.
That's what gave him the tinnitus. Oh my God. I need to talk to this kid, sit him down. Oh my gosh.
You'll
All right.
find it might have been something else.
Maybe it was all like the horns being honked at him. That loud noise.
All right. Segway challenge.
Um, the topic behind us is a little scary, so I'm just gonna exit off this ramp here.
Even though you don't need to go there at all.
Nope.
All right. Whoever's next. Whoever wants to.
I'll go. Let's say I love knowing insider details to kind of common things. So for an example of this, um, like going to a baseball game, like myself, I know the general rules of baseball, like I can follow the action and stuff. But what was really fun was one time I went with my boss who played like all through played baseball all through college and stuff, and he maybe could have gotten into like minor leagues, but probably never into the majors, or so he says. But anyway, he was like showing me all this stuff, like, hey, like see the team that's up to bat has somebody on second base, right? I'm like, yeah. So he's watching the catcher who's making signs to the pitcher, and now watch that guy. He'll make signs back to the batter. So like there's like this whole weird like spy versus spy stuff going on during the baseball game. And like that stuff is just super fascinating to me. Like the stuff you never would have noticed if you didn't have the inside details. Other stuff like just kind of um like watching movies, like kind of knowing science stuff or like astronomy stuff. And one could argue this might make a movie worse, but I enjoy noticing it. Like let's say you're watching like a sunrise in the movie, but the sun's going like in the wrong direction. So, like normally the sun would go up and to the right on a sunrise, but it's going up to the left. So either they filmed this in Australia or it was just easier for them to film a sunset and then reverse it. So just like noticing that kind of stuff and like just astronomy in general, I think it's cool because it's like something that's always around, but you don't pay much attention to it. So like I was just kind of like keeping track of where the moon is and like knowing what phase it's in and that stuff, even though it's like completely useless. And then um some other stuff I like just knowing dumb facts like in movie titles, like if you see an ampersand between two names, it means those guys are like a team. But if it's the word and, that means they're not necessarily a team, but they both just worked on this thing. And there's like all these like subtle things that in literally any topic that if you dive into it, you can learn about it, but it would pass you by otherwise, unbeknownst to you.
I this should count, right? Like behind the music, the H1, like the Eagles hated each other and shit like that, Like does that kind of count, you think?
I mean, anything you can annoy your friends with while you should just be enjoying a thing, like I
Oh,
think that counts.
all right, yeah, because I mentioned that before, like Pink Floyd, the behind the scenes stuff that was going on with them. I love the show Toys That Built America. That is so much fun for me to watch because it's things that I've grew up with, and then you hear about like how they're like, how do we, hungry rhinos? No, that's not it. You see them kind of get to there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And like, what is it, that Flamin' Hot movie or the Tetris movie? I haven't watched those, but I do like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, actually, just mentioning like Tetris, like video games, like I love like knowing like oh that thing that's happening in that game, they can only do that because of this P38 chip that wasn't included until this model or whatever, and it like just yeah, that stuff is always fascinating to me.
I always like
Uh,
I love having like the insider knowledge on stuff, especially with like sports and stuff. Like if I know like, oh, this guy usually does this, and like the sports announcers on TV, like they're not acknowledging like what's really going on, or like maybe they're not aware. Because like as me as a viewer who's like a super passionate fan, like, oh, I know this guy, they like to do this, and just having like the inside track and like what I think is gonna happen, and then being right, it's very satisfying. Um, but like I even though I love like little insider knowledge things, I do feel like anytime I tell someone like, "Hey, did you know this?" their reaction is always just like, "I don't care. I didn't ask you."
Yeah.
Like, shut up. And then I'm just like, "But I know something cool. Come on, guys."
Yeah, I can totally relate to that, but so sometimes I just keep those to
yeah.
myself, but every
Yeah,
once
like
you get someone who's interested and then it's all worth it.
yeah, it's usually like I'm watching a movie and I'm like, "Oh, this guy was in that movie." And then my wife's like, "So?" Like, you can just look that up on the internet. That's not good knowledge. Like, oh my God.
Jeez. Well, then a lot of this stuff could be looked up, man. That's probably why I know most of this stuff.
Exactly. I remember it.
Is does football fantasy league that kind of has something to do with knowing the insides of like like, oh, this guy's
Oh, for
injured or
sure.
something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's probably not even going to play this week, so I better figure something else out. Like, yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And especially like before the season starts, just knowing like, oh, a lot of people are taking this running back for this team, but they just got a new offensive coach this year and they're probably not going to run the ball as much. So, like, even though this player had a really good year last year, he's definitely not going to have a good year this year or as good of a year. So, like, just that insider knowledge to be like, I'm not going to take that guy. He's not going to be as good.
Segue. Call it. Segue challenge. Uh, you
You know,
know,
astute Vista listeners of this show might know that we often have a segue challenge.
I was gonna say, like, little pop-up video like Matt Hagen hated it when Vince said moving on. So Vince then decided to think of better ways. Then he couldn't. Then he decided, fuck, just say segue challenge so he doesn't have to do all the work himself. All right.
And then cut to me, and it's like Dave has participated in one segue challenge in 32 episodes.
Oh god.
I just sit here and just shake my head like I got nothing.
All right. Yeah.
We can do my love.
Yes.
All right.
I love Stoicism and like quotes of famous Stoics and like their teachings. Um, like on TikTok, like and like sometimes on Facebook, then like in lots of social media, there's different this is like how I became like more aware of like Stoics and their teachings is just like stuff showing up on my feed and then like me liking it like on TikTok. And then I'll like, I'm going to follow this person and I'm going to like this. And then, you like whatever the hashtags are underneath that, like, and the algorithm just feeds you more of what you liked. And once you do it enough, then like anytime I go on TikTok, like every, 8 or 10 videos, it'll just be like some epic, like, movie music that's playing in the background, like strings or something. And then there's like these like Roman statues of like Aristotle or Marcus Aurelius. And they're just like the quotes, and they have like the AI generated like voice, like saying their quotes, and you're like, oh shit, this is epic. Like, so it's like I'm not like a historical buff. Like, I don't really know much other than like or like Marcus Aurelius. He was like the leader of Rome in like the year 150 or something, and he was the leader of Rome, but he was also like this incredible like philosopher and stoic, and he has like tons of quotes attributed to him, and I love these quotes because they just like they're just teaching you to like be mindful of yourself. Don't let the outside world and all the bullshit in the outside world affect you. And it's like those teachings just, I think they're just like everything in like creating like a nice, calm, soothing like space for you to live in, not only physically, but mentally. Because once you stop like all the chatter of the outside world and you don't let anyone else affect you, that's when you can truly like become yourself and just do what you want because you're not being affected by everything else on the outside. Um, yeah, so like I have some quotes that I liked and I just thought were cool. Um, this one is by Marcus Aurelius. It says, "We have the power to hold no opinion about a thing and not let it upset our state of a mind, for things have no natural power to shape our judgments." So I just like that it's on this show we always love, hate, or indifference, but it like Marcus Aurelius says you can just on there could be a topic if you don't know anything on it, you don't need to have an opinion on everything. And in today's like world of like, podcasts and stuff, like everybody has to have an opinion on everything. And it's like it's not necessarily true. Like there's certain things where it's like I haven't seen it. Like there's like different bands that like I'll shit on, but like I've never really listened to them. And I'm like, why am I saying so and so sucks? I'm like, I have no idea. I should just say like, I don't know, never heard of it. Another awesome quote by Marcus Aurelius is comfort is the worst addiction. Yeah, like comfort is while you try to achieve it, it can be like a crutch because, breaking out of your comfort zone allows you to like become stronger, try new things, step out of the box and just like experience life. Where if you're just always trying to seek comfort in everything you do, you're just gonna end up laying in bed all day and never turning the lights on.
Is
Oh,
I was
yeah,
gonna
what's up?
say, is that kind of like the dangers of stoicism possibly? Like you're so like unaffected by the world that you just sit there and do nothing? I don't know. That was a weird quote.
Mm, I
I
mean,
mean, do you,
I don't.
do you kind of see it though, where it's like because that's about like you're comfortable. If you're comfortable, that means you're not letting anyone affect your behavior and stuff with all their, I don't know, that threw me for a loop. Still good though.
Well, I mean, it's just it is saying comfort's the worst addiction, so you don't want it to be an addiction. It can be something that you seek and you enjoy, but it shouldn't be like the only thing. Like you always have to be in comfort because yeah, you don't want to be like a monk who is just meditating 20 hours a day and not living his life. Like you want to be comfortable, but you still want to like go out and do badass shit, you know? Um one by Aristotle, this would be the last quote I'll say. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. Um, yeah, so it's just like if you like when you want to change something and you want to do something, like you're gonna hate it at first, and you just have to keep doing it and keep doing it until it's a habit, and then eventually along the way, you know.
How long do you think have you been? I mean, like I agree with a lot of the, the whole Stoicism thing. Like, kind of, does this kind of is this kind of Buddhism in a way, John? Would you say?
I mean, there's definitely similarities to the philosophy, the idea
Yeah.
that like you you can't necessarily put yourself in a situation where everything's good for you, but you can choose how you're reacting to those things around you. Um, I think that's kind of a commonality between the two of them, and honestly, something I very much agree with.
For sure. Yeah, like I've wanted to be, I consider myself laid back, and I try to maintain that because I do, like my mom's told me this before, where I have my dad's mean streak, and I always hated that because I'm like, well, dad's not around because he was an asshole. So like, thanks. Thanks for telling me like I have my dad's mean streak. I've always hated that. So I have tried to be very like calm and stuff like that. I would consider Seinfeld a very stoic person because you never see him get angry, even when he should. Like he should have yelled at Kramer so many times, but he never does. Yeah. What
Yeah,
about you,
like
John?
I'm just trying to think it through. Like I definitely have applied a lot of the tenets of Stoicism to my own life. Um, but I also realize not everyone necessarily can or should. Or maybe they should. I don't know. Like maybe they would be better off if they could or did. I don't know. Like um I think in general, just yeah, like basically learning how to control your emotions and, like react in a level way to things that happen is a good skill to have. But then, you wonder like we're humans and our sometimes our natural reaction is to respond more passionately to things that happen. So is that necessarily a bad thing? I don't know. But it's not
um
natural to me for that to happen anyway. Like stoicism comes naturally to me anyway, so it's more easy to say like, oh, well, that's what's good and makes sense.
yeah, like I see like with my coworkers and like sometimes friends where they will like I have coworkers that will complain about something and they'll just complain about it every single day, every day of the week, all year long for years on end, and they have the same complaints. And I just like want to smack them and be like, get over it. Like that's the way it is. Like it Vince is gonna hate me, but it is what it is.
Oh,
But like it's like if you can't control it, then just you know just push it away. Just like don't let it be in your space where it's just gonna like fuck with your head. Like don't let something else have that control over you. You know, it's so I feel like I don't know. I've gotten compliments from coworkers who are like, Dave, you never get mad or angry about anything. And I'm like, oh, I do. Like I'm like ready to explode and punch people in the face. I'm like, I don't do it, but I want to. Like I really want to. But I'm like, I am going for that. Don't just poker face. Act like you're cool. Act like you don't want to fucking smack them, even though you want to.
That no, that's an interesting point before though, John, about like, maybe you should let it out. Like isn't that a thing where the gosh, I don't know which Asian culture it is, but they're like, the guy when they go off and get mad, they're like, "Oh, good for you. You fucking escaped the mold of like just being quiet and stoic. You're actually expressing yourself." I think that's a thing. So yeah, it is like finding that balance because like I said, my mom was like, your dad has a mean streak, but I also know that my dad is very detached emotionally, and I feel that as well. And I'm so it is like you got to feel something. You got to find a nice middle ground. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Segue.
guess it's all like
Oh,
when does it become problematic or not? Like, are you so passionate and emotional that you're like ruining your relationships? Or the other way around, are you so dispassionate that you're not able to connect to anybody? I don't think either of those are great.
all right.
if
Well,
you're honking your horn in traffic, that you've gone too far. You need to calm down.
way
Oh.
too passionate. Oh my God. Segue challenge. I feel that Dave should do one actually because he mentioned how rarely he does.
For I do not fear change, I shall not fear a topic change. David, 2024.
um oh, who is it? Was it me? Was it John?
Might be you again.
Is
I
it
don't
me?
know.
Okay. Let's go with political commercials. 'Tis the season, or not even the season, but there's a lot, right? And there's going to be way more, especially after the election and stuff. Now, this isn't about who's wrong. No. Uh, I just got to say this. So they show up, right? They show up and they're like, Tammy Baldwin did this, or they're like, Tammy Baldwin did this for us, And as someone who's not going out of his way to look up what's happening sometimes, it is a nice reminder like, oh, Tammy Baldwin did do that, But then you have the fucking smear commercials that always suck. I always hated these things. They're like, Tammy Baldwin sold babies to Russia, or I don't know, something like that. And you gotta like you gotta sift through the bullshit because it's just you gotta sift through the stuff to find out what's bullshit and what's real. Because that is, I really don't mind when they're like, Tammy Baldwin's doing this and they're saying all this stuff that's happening. I don't mind that. And it actually makes me feel kind of like, oh, thank you, Senator, or whatever she is. Uh, uh, but then, yeah, it's the damn smear campaigns I hate so much. But I had a question. Are the voice actors who do these commercials, are they bipartisan? Where they're like, I fucking hate myself. Tammy Baldwin is nice, but I got to be like, Tammy Baldwin is a cheap fucker, I don't know. What do you guys think of the political commercials?
To answer your question, I bet there's some self-hating voice actors there who just are there for the job. Um, I kind of agree with you. I don't mind it when it's like an incumbent candidate who's kind of like reminding you, like, hey, these are the things that I got accomplished while I was in office. Um, I don't know. It's weird though. Like everyone says they hate the negative campaigns, but they must work because people keep spending billions of dollars every election cycle on them. So even if everyone hates them, they must be effective or something. But yeah, I definitely don't like them and try not to be manipulated by them. But it's impossible to know if you are or not. Um, but yeah, as far as like a thing that causes me discomfort, like having political ads on is definitely one of them.
What do you think, Dave? And do the ads change when you go down south?
I I don't ever listen to the radio down here, but when I was just in Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago or last week, I did. I was on the FM tuner and there was a political ad, and I'm pretty sure it was probably about Tammy Baldwin or something. And like, because she's been in the Senate, I don't know how long, probably at least 10 or 12 years or something. She's been around a little while because I recognize her name even though I haven't lived there in 4 years. But yeah, like it just reminded me that like the state election ones, especially, it's not really like that in Oklahoma because Oklahoma, they're just like, oh, you have an R next to your name? All right, get in there, you're good. I like in Wisconsin, that's like a battleground state. So you have both sides are like
Yeah.
vying for those seats and they're both want to get in. So it's like it's a dog eat dog world in Wisconsin, and those, especially, yeah, those state ones are nasty. And I don't know, like they're horrible. Like I hate them. And it's, you hear them like saying all this negative stuff, and I'm like, just say something positive about what your candidate has done. I feel just try and be nice. I don't know, because I always thought that was like taking the high road, but I don't know. But I feel like a lot of the political ads and stuff like that, and they're just and it's on both sides. It's like if you repeat a lie enough times, it just becomes the truth. So they just keep, and both sides do it, and they just say all, just talk shit on somebody enough, and everybody will hate them. Like, okay, um, like I think, I don't know, for like the presidential ads, I've noticed, I saw this one clip. I don't remember who it was, but like some reporter asked the politician, they're like, "What do you think about this ad that you just started to air?" And then they're like, "I don't think that's my ad." Oh, I think it was an old clip. This was like an old clip of like George W. Bush like 20 years ago. And he's like, "I don't think that's my ad." And I think it was like a clip from the debate or something with like Al Gore or something. He's like, "I don't think that's my ad." And they're like, "Well, this ad came out and it says it's approved by your campaign." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And like like he has no idea like the ads that they're putting out, what they're saying, and like he doesn't even know. It's like it's not even, it's just the campaigns are just doing their own stuff, and like the candidate has like no knowledge of it. And it's like, oh.
Well, now they all have that at the end. It's like, I'm Tammy Baldwin and I approve this message.
Uh, okay, so John, is it any different over there? I know you're just next door in Minnesota.
No, it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
you guys are swing states as well,
for
right?
yeah, and like while we typically are fairly blue for any statewide elections, um, anything that's for like a district within the state gets heated pretty hard,
Yeah.
similar to Wisconsin.
Whoa.
I always think of remember that show? It was only on for like one season called Stella with Michael Ian Black
Yeah.
and Michael Showalter and David Wayne. There was one where
Yeah.
Michael Ian Black was running for like the head of their homeowners association in their apartment building. And there was a part where it was like a campaign ad for it, and it was just the funniest thing. I just remember this one part where it's like, Michael Ian Black loves motor scooters. His opponent has never stated their opinion on motor scooters. And then it's like a different voice. Never stated their opinion on motor scooters? So I think of that every time I see a campaign ad now.
Oh my God. Uh yeah. Well, let's get away from it. Let's segue challenge. Let's see here. Oh, John Nemitz was supposed to follow Vincent Cloud. What's with the delay? Tell John Nemitz we don't need more of that old topic.
All right. I am indifferent to the grocery store chain Trader Joe's. Um, so if you're not already familiar with them, I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's kind of like a maybe slightly higher end than your typical store chain, but they're not as expensive as like a Whole Foods or something like that. But um they're unique in that they have like all their products are labeled with their branding, and they're like sometimes they're just products that are relabeled that you might find in a different store, but a lot of times it's just stuff that like that's the only place you'll ever find it. Um and I I like it in the fact that they have a lot of stuff that's, pretty good for being like a pre-made frozen meal, just throw it together kind of thing. And it's not super expensive. Um, but one thing I hate is they like you get kind of like used to an item and then they'll just stop selling it and you can never get it anywhere else ever again. And it's just gone out of your life, leaving a
No.
giant void. And like I can think of multiple products where that's happened to me. Um, the experience of going there isn't great either because like they're they always choose to be like in very populous parts of like a city. So like often just getting to their store is a pain, and then like their parking lots are a nightmare. Like there's not enough spots ever, and so there's like every spot is full, and then there's like four cars driving around waiting for someone to leave finally so they can get in. So that's horrible. um but yeah, it's a mixed bag. Like if I never went there again, I'd be okay with it, though there'd be a couple of things I miss. But my wife is more of a fan of it than I am, but also she doesn't like actually actually going there that much. It's more like how do we just get these specific items? You guys familiar with them at all?
I've never seen one. Dave, what about you?
Yeah, when I moved down here like 4 years ago, and then I heard there was a Trader Joe's in Tulsa, and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I've never lived next to a Trader Joe's, and it has like this cult following, and it seems really cool. And like when I was younger, like my grandma would go and she'd get like these weird different snacks. She's like, I got them at Trader Joe's, which always meant like I can never buy this myself because I don't live in a town with Trader Joe's. So I went there and like, yeah, it's downtown Tulsa, like right by the river. And they're just like the tiniest little buildings everywhere because it's all like it I don't know, there's just it's such a high densely populated area, like you were saying, John. And you can't find a parking spot, just like you said. You're just like, okay, I'm like driving my pickup truck, which is not even that big. It's like small because like there's giant pickup trucks nowadays. Mine's small. I could barely find a parking spot. And then you get your cart and you go inside, and there's so many like million options of everything. And I think most people, unless you go there regularly, you're kind of window shopping on most stuffs, most things you're gonna get. Like if you're looking at chips or crackers, like you don't really know what you're going to get. So you're kind of, it takes forever to kind of look at the labels and be like, oh, I'm going to decide and get this. So it took forever to shop and get through the store. Like I kind of just wanted to like hit up some popular areas, grab some chips, crackers, grab some candy, maybe get like some muffins or, if they have some cool cheese or something. Like but it took forever to get through the store. It was so packed. Everything was expensive, and it was like I couldn't grocery shop there. It was like a supplemental grocery shopping where it's like I have to go grocery shopping somewhere else, get the necessities, and then I can go there and get some like snacks and stuff. So it's kind of like something that you would do on like your afternoon off or something, and it's like there's nothing going on. But like for me, that's like on a Saturday or Sunday, and that's when it's crazy busy there and packed and it takes forever to get out of that store.
Yeah, that's
So
a really fair point. Like, yeah, they do have like produce and stuff there, but it's just like, no, that's not what I'm here for. Like, I'm not gonna like, yeah, use that as like my only place I'm gonna go. That's very true.
yeah, I feel like it's a good place for like if you have like if Christmas is coming up and you're having a lot of people over to your house, then you can get like different kinds of crackers and cheeses and stuff, or like, just some of the more like unique styles of foods that they have that you're not gonna always have if you're gonna make like a charcuterie board or something.
Yeah,
But
my wife like follows people on Instagram where like a Trader Joe's haul is like a big part of their like weekly output. And like she'll show me a video like, oh, look at these, like you can put these three items together and it's like a really good plant-based meal. And I'm like, oh, that does look really good. So then we like go there and then they like don't have one of the items. I'm like, oh, yeah,
it's
looks
because
like we should have that again in 3 weeks.
Oh my God.
that's like how many people watched that TikTok
Yeah,
video? Like,
exactly.
and then, like they immediately went there and they sold out.
Yeah.
So okay, so I looked up Trader Joe's because I've never even seen one, but someone compared it to Aldi's. Would that
Mm,
does that work? No?
I don't think so. Like,
Okay.
um, I think Trader Joe's is more bougie, where Aldi is seen as more of like a discount store. I guess they have similarities in that they have like their own products that you're not going to see those brands anywhere else, but um, it's a different vibe, I'd say.
What about
Yeah,
to
it's
put a
more of like
quarter?
a fashion boutique, like
Oh,
super
really?
high end.
Okay. Well, Trader Joe's, uh, is there like a mascot? Like, it's Joe or something. Nothing like that.
Yeah, there's
Well,
Trader Joe. He's a guy.
yeah, there's not like a guy in a suit at the store or anything, but
Yeah.
um, but like all the products are branded Trader Joe's, and like like Oreos are like chocolate JoJo's and stuff like that. And I think they like changed this because it was seen as maybe a bit racist, but like all their Mexican products would be like Trader Jose, and like their Italian stuff was like Trader Giovanni and stuff like that.
All
And
right.
I maybe I'm the racist one if I get this wrong, but I feel like they had like Chinese products that were like Trader Ming or something like that. Like I think they got in trouble for that. One thing I was gonna say though, like another thing they were famous for in their liquor store, they have these wines that are like house brand. Um, it's like called Charles something, and like the wine was known as $2 Chuck because it was $2 a bottle. I think it's up to like $4 Chuck at this point, at least. But they were actually known as being like this is a really decent wine for being like very inexpensive. So that was like another thing to draw people in.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, I mean, I only bring up Aldi's because it sounded like that because you're like, oh, you don't really go there for the produce. And I'm like, oh yeah, I never buy the produce from Aldi's and stuff. But Aldi's, remember that you gotta have a quarter,
Oh yeah,
stick it
for
in the
the shopping cart.
carts. That's about the only thing that was cool about Aldi's.
I had a coworker from Germany where Aldi originated, and he said it was seen very differently there. Um, like it in Aldi, like it's kind of they almost seem like they're looked down upon here, whereas over there they like were just like another fine option for people to go to, even though it was like pretty much the same experience. Um, and he had all these stories about like left-handed Aldi versus right-handed Aldi, which would like be the layout of the store when you went in. And
Oh,
he said like they they never had barcode scanners and all the cashiers just knew all the codes. So like they're like as they're like putting your item down with their left hand, with their right hand, they're just typing in the 9 or like the 10 key pin, whatever the item is. And it was like faster than people in other stores trying to find the barcodes.
Oh my gosh, Germany is leaving us in the dust, man. Oh, but also between Trader Joe's and all these, Trader Joe's it's catchy. You're like, what Trader? What who did he betray? You know, Aldi, you're just like, what is that? What's an Aldi? You know, so
Yeah.
it's all marketing and shit. Segway challenge.
Well, if I can ever get back to my car and out of this godforsaken parking lot, let's move on to the next topic.
You know what? I think John's done the majority of Segway challenges out of all of us. Little statistics for everyone.
Our keen-eared listeners can write down those stats for us and send them in.
Oh, that'd be great. Few Goldilock Bears cards, like baseball stats and shit. Oh, that'd be great. I think Dave, you're up. You're up.
I'll do my hate. I hate people who are jaded by service work. Um, so when I say service work, I don't necessarily mean like waiters and waitresses and people who like work at Starbucks or McDonald's. If you're jaded by that job, you're 100% correct. I've worked those jobs for a long time in my youth. You're right to be angry at working those jobs and putting up with asshole people all day. I would be very jaded as well. Um, this topic is more about being jaded, like people who I work in a hospital now. So, working in a hospital, your number one thing is patient care, taking care of people, um, trying to give people comfort, and trying to help people out. And I hate some of the people who are just jaded by that, and they're just like, there's a lot of nurses that have been around a while. Like usually younger hospital staff are very nice and they're very polite, but the longer you've worked in a hospital, you can tell by the people who have worked there over 20 years because they're super fucking jaded. They don't give a shit about your feelings. They don't care about your pain level. They just want you to leave them alone and don't bother them. And they're just such assholes. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'll be there one day, but like, I don't think so because there's like some people are just so to the extreme where I don't know. I hate being around them because everything to them is just like, oh, they just kept whining and kept whining, and that patient was crying, and I'm like, he shattered his femur. Like,
Oh my
I would be
God.
crying too. I don't think he meant to put his motorcycle down. That thing costs hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, but like they're just like whining and complaining that that person was complaining and they're an inconvenience to them. I don't know. I think there's in every like field of work um it happens, and it's just very unfortunate when it happens in like the healthcare field, when people should really be trying to help other people.
Oh shit, yeah. I deal with that at I mean with my I work with my God, the term changes all the time. Last time I heard it was like the cognitively challenged. I don't know. But anyways, holy shit, burnout. That used to be discussed when I first started working. All companies would be like, we have to discuss burnout because, blah blah blah. You'll eventually stop caring or just exactly what you're discussing because it's dealing with other human beings. You're like, Jesus Christ, like you should be a little bit more sensitive and all that stuff. But it's always the younger people that are like, hey buddy, they get to work and they whatever and they're happy. I'm happy, but it's the fucking older people that are like, oh, you fucking look at this bright bushy tail motherfucker, we're gonna destroy his soul, we'll crush his dreams. um that's terrible. What about you, John? Have you encountered this in your field?
I mean, we don't help people in my field, so
We're
I don't
slowly
know.
bringing down Earth.
No, but I guess when I worked in tech support, which is, more traditional customer service job, like, um, you definitely would get that. Like, you just as a tech support engineer, you're hearing the same questions over and over again. So it's just like, um, like, you guys put any effort in before you called me, or did you,
Oh,
like that kind of stuff. And there was definitely that, but I think overall, like, it, pretty much everyone I worked with were young, so I think they genuinely enjoyed the challenge of the job and learning new stuff. But there's definitely part of it that's just like being annoyed by the people who are enabling you to have a job.
you
My
ever?
parents were just telling me a story of specifically healthcare related. I don't even remember the details, but it was like one of their family members was dying in the hospital, and like a nurse yelled at them for like crying in the hallway. Like, this is not the place for that. Like, yeah, like stuff like that.
That's no, that's literally the place for it. At the
Holy
hospital.
crap!
Like, yeah.
Wow.
This was in the 70s, so who knows?
Okay, so John, have they ever warned you guys, or like, you could get burned out and jaded by this sort of work? Actually, no, the real question is, so Dave, I think Dave and I could age into what we're doing pretty well, but with you, I feel like you got to study more, probably more than Dave, because there's always medical shit,
Yeah, I
new
feel like
things.
with my job, it was like being on the phones and customer facing tech support was kind of like the entry level, and you kind of like worked to eventually get a job somewhere else where you're not talking to customers. I mean, for me, that was definitely a big goal, and I think that that's true for a lot of people. And like a lot of people who still talk to customers are doing it more in like a sales type of role rather than like helping them solve their problems kind of role.
Oh,
Although if you're a good salesperson, you should be helping the customers solve their problem.
well, I meant just in general, like, are there, like, I thought you mentioned like how you're kind of like the old man in your building now or something.
Oh yeah, like there's it's like mostly like engineers and like programmers and stuff. And yeah, like we have people who started as interns and are now, in their early 20s coming on as full-time employees. And um you definitely feel like the old guy when you talk about how you have to used to have to do things, and how things work now and everything.
Oh, shit.
Um But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of negativity around that as far as I've seen anyway. Other than like we mentioned like our favorite 80s media and they have no idea what we're talking about.
Oh gosh.
That is something we like to do with our younger coworkers or like students, is we just go on YouTube and we're like, have you ever heard of uh, you know, Birdie Bacall? And they're like, what the fuck is Birdie Bacall? And I'm like, all right, you should go on YouTube, type in Birdie Bacall and or Boogie and Bacall. I've is Birdie something is a guy's name, but it's just a corny music video from the 80s of this song you've never heard, and you're like, this is really bad, but it's also kind of good at the same time. I'm not even saying the name of it right, so no one's gonna be able to search it. I'm gonna have to look it up here.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
I was gonna say, am I young?
Oh, Bert, his name is Bertie Higgins, and the name of the song is Key Largo.
Still don't know it.
Key
But if you
Largo.
watched it, you would love it, and it is creepy and weird because it's like him and a younger female, and we're like, this is kind of. I feel like she's too young for him, and the whole music video was supposed to be off of uh what's his name, Humphrey Bogart and his wife, and Humphrey Bogart was much older than his wife.
Oh, Lauren Bacall, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
Boogie and Bacall. Yeah. So they referenced that in the song, and it was like, that's why he's so like creepy in this music video. But we just like find random like old music videos and show them to younger people, just references that they don't understand at all. And it's like, this is good. And just watching their reaction is priceless.
Watching that music video while you're trying to ignore the crying. Oh man. All right, segue
Well,
challenge.
after COVID, they don't let us do TikTok videos anymore at the hospital, so we got to fill up our time elsewhere.
Really? They tell you you can't do that anymore?
No, you were never supposed to do it to
Uh,
begin with. But some dumb people did.
do we have a segue challenge?
I'm so
Service.
sick of figuring out these segues. Like maybe one of these
Yeah,
young
I'm sick of
upstarts
having to
can
do
do
your
one.
job and host the show, Vince. Come up with your own segues.
That's really me getting out of it. I'm just like, you guys, segue challenge. All right. Uh uh me? Is it I?
I think so.
All right, let's do my love. I love the Tenacious D album.
Yes.
And I will open up with some Weird Al altered lyrics of one of their songs. Last week, Kyle said some shit. Now Jack canceled the tour. La 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 la. Have you guys heard about that? What happened last week?
No.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah,
at
is that a lyric to one of their songs?
no.
Oh,
No, the lyrics is last week Kyle quit the band. Doesn't matter. Now he's back. Now we're back together. But no,
okay.
he they were like happy birthday on stage and they're like make a wish and Kyle's like I wish that they don't miss Trump next time or something like that and Jack Black's like what the
Oh
fuck,
no.
dude? And so Jack Black just fucking canceled the tour and who even knows what's going to happen because Kyle put a apology up, but then as soon as Jack canceled the tour, he took it down. You're like, oh yeah, well that was sincere. So anyways, we don't know what's going to happen, but it reminds me of their dynamic on the album where Kyle says something stupid and Jack flies off the handle. He's like, God damn it, Kyle. So anyways, I love this album. This is, I don't know when it was released. It might have been new when I heard it first. It was my very first job outside of summer jobs, and I was working at the IGA, the supermarket, um, working in the meat department. So my coworker was cool. He was a friend of mine, and he's like, "Dude, this is gonna make this shit go by because what we're doing is just cleaning, metal machines and stuff." Puts on Tenacious D, and I loved it. I like every single song was so awesome. It was funny. It also was rocking and stuff like that. Catchy lyrics, skits, great skits. That's something that I feel like a lot of rock bands don't do. Like hip hop, they like to put skits in their albums, and it's always awesome. I always really appreciate that. Um, it is super bizarre, but I don't consider Jack Black the movie star and Jack Black Tenacious D as the same guy. It's so bizarre. Like once I'm watching Tenacious D, I'm like, fuck yeah, that's Jack Black. But then when he's in movies, I'm like, that's Jack Black. I don't know how to describe it. But two different
It's like
people.
it's a professional wrestler with like two different gimmicks.
Yeah.
Like you have Mankind and then you have like Cactus Jack. And while it's the same guy playing both characters, you're like, oh, they're different.
Okay, so speaking of different guys, the premise that really drives the album is that Jack is like an egomaniacal, overlord of the band, and it's Kyle who's like, doing a lot of the instrumentation, but he's kind of dumb, but he just follows Jack blindly and stuff like that. So it's that throughout. Um, I like cursing. I love that's probably a future love. So he swears a lot in this fucking album. And scatting. I love scatting as well, where you're doing like random jazz like vocals, improv vocals and stuff like that. Um and then it's folk. It's telling stories. Like Tribute is so good for me still. Like, I still really like that. Wonder Boy is an epic. Um, a UFC fighter, Stephen Thompson, nicknamed the Wonder Boy, is from that song. That's why he loves it so much. His last fight, he actually had Jack and Kyle walk him to the octagon, which was so great. And he always walks out to that song. Um, yeah, what do you guys have to say about this? I have more to say, but what do you guys think?
Love this album. I've probably referenced it at least once a week since the first time I heard it, like whatever, 20 years ago. Um, like all like that's also true. Like say that all the time. Every time my wife can't like make up her mind, I'm like, can't decide brain aneurysm. Um, like all that stuff from like the skits and stuff, and just the way he says it, I just think about all the time. Like it's so great. And like, yeah, the songs are really good too. Um, Rock Your Socks Off when he breaks into like the classical music on the guitar. Just it sounds so good. It's so cool. Um, yeah, I don't know. I've listened to this album so many times and I just think about it all the time.
What about
Yeah,
you, Dave?
this
Are
is
you a tenacious? What do we call ourselves? The fans? We're not Swifties. We got to be.
we're D's.
We're D's. Okay,
D's.
we're D's. D's
We're
nuts.
part of the Tenacious D's. Yeah. Tenacious D is great. I love like this album and Pick a Destiny and the movie Pick a Destiny. I love those songs as well. But yeah, like this album, it was, it's iconic because it was like the first one that I heard, and it has the song Tribute on it. And Tribute will always be like the greatest Tenacious D song, I feel like. Um, it's so good. It's got everything. It's got comedy. It's perfectly written. It's got like a story to it. I don't know. It's just awesome. And I enjoy it every time I hear it. Every time I make a playlist, I always add a couple Tenacious D songs. I always add tribute. That's for sure. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's impossible not to love it.
I think we mentioned this, or I mentioned this on this podcast. Uh, at a friend of ours' wedding, we had to, in order to get the bride and groom to kiss, you had to sing a song. So me, McMahon, were you there, Dave? Oh, you were there, but you didn't sing with us, I believe.
I sang a couple lines and then I faded out.
But anyways, it was so cool. We sang a abridged version where we just, changed the lyrics to be family friendly. But let me just tell you this, like, it was so awesome to sing with my buds who we've never sang together before. And we sounded pretty good. We could have
Or
been the
since.
Eagles. Yeah, or since, yeah. We broke up very much like the Eagles. Um, so yeah, to be able to sing, even if it's censored version of "Fuck Her Gently" at a wedding, is probably the coolest thing I ever got to do. It's so awesome.
I was right there. I was like 3 feet away, but like my memory is completely different than yours. I thought it was wildly inappropriate. I'm
We did,
just I'm staring at like Eric and Steph's grandparents the whole time and the horrified look on their face.
but we didn't say the F word. God, what did we say instead? I don't remember. But like it
Uh,
worked. To me, it worked.
you might not have said the F word. Some people were. I'm pretty sure Jordan was.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me talk about
Uh,
the skits. Inward singing. I love that so
Shut
much.
up, it is nonstop. Anyone
And
else?
we're gonna fucking sing it in. It sounds even
Even
better.
better. When
Always
I'm singing out.
naysaying. Yeah. I think about that all the time. Always naysaying. Like if we're podcasting, Dave and I, and Dave disagrees with me, I always want to be like, always naysaying everything I create. Why did you invent something?
Like inward singing. You piece of shit.
And when he's like when he calls him a
Sit your
cock
toes.
ass, He doesn't pronounce cock-ass cock-ass. He's like cock-ass. All right. Oh my gosh. The
I thought he did
road.
the bendy thing every once in a
1-0. The road has a nice, like, it starts off with rock, but then there's like a middle part where he's like, my baby in Michigan,
while.
like that. That's really nice. I really like, even though he's like, we screwed
Screw
two.
two times and I left.
I was like, that's really nice. Like, it captures the feeling of being on the road to me. Oh my gosh. Oh, and then I gotta say, Drive Through, I listened to that skit just as much as I listen to like Tribute and Wonder Boy. I love that skit so much. How you have like 6 chicken McNuggets. I only want a fourth thing. Throw 2 of them away.
Half Coke, half Diet Coke. I'm trying to watch the figure.
I guess I'll go with the filet of fish sandwich because it's fish. It has less calories because it's fish.
And then like just a weird names for Junior Western Bako Cheese.
Small seasoned curlies.
Oh man, I always call curly fries seasoned curly. Kind of bad.
Oh my God. But yeah, I don't know. This album is so good. You mentioned the Pick of Destiny, Dave. I It took me a while to warm up to that movie because they're kind of not rehashing, but like it's kind of like the same themes and stuff because it's a what do you call it? A prequel to the TV show. So you have some similarities there, but yeah. Still like the album though. Anything else about oh my God, City Hall, that's the very last song. The thing's huge. It's an epic. And I love every bit of it, how like they quickly get corrupted after becoming kings.
Back from
Um
Idaho, plenty of potatoes. I don't know what you're talking about.
there was no famine, no. Okay, but oh my God, when they're like, okay, he's gone. Okay, we cannot have Kyle be king. Let's make him Duke, be a kick-ass Duke. I think of that all the time, especially since there's a dog at work and his name's Duke. I'm always like, hey, be a kick-ass Duke.
Right,
And
doesn't he?
then
Isn't there part he's like meet like post Parliament together? He's like, okay, Parliament, I know this is fucked up, but
he's decroaching on my decrees. Damn it. So good. I always fear talking about something I love way too much because it's just like gushing about it and it's not really discussing why I like it. But I said the acoustics and the swearing and stuff. Like Kilbasa, me and Jordan would laugh every time we had a Tenacious D concert and where he goes like, you motherfucker, oh you motherfucker. It was so good. We loved that every single time. Mm.
and I'm based on your news at the beginning. I'm glad I went to see them last summer.
What?
Yeah, they were
That's
at. It
awesome.
was a last minute thing. Like I didn't even know they were in town, and my boss was like, "Hey, I have an extra ticket. You want to go see Tenacious D?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah!"
Holy shit. I didn't like your boss because he liked baseball, but now he's cool. Oh my gosh. Oh, the one note, how he says next. It's like next, next
Next
song.
song.
Oh my gosh. And then me and my ex, we'd always quote the hard fucking skit. We're like, oh, you like that? You like that? Oh my God. Okay, should we move on? Because I could keep going like every fucking song. 11 Dio, where it's like your sauce will mix with ours, we'll make a good goulash. Because I love goulash. Oh my gosh.
Placebo.
Yeah. What's the name of my girlfriend? I don't know, but she's built like the shit and she's good to go. Ah, sweet lyrics. All right, should we go segue challenge? Can't decide.
It's a sad brain aneurysm. All we're asking you is for one simple thing. drop
Drop
trow,
trow.
and squeeze out a Cleveland steamer on our chest. 2, 3, 4.
Oh, the crack of noon. All right, God damn it. John, you're next.
All right. I'm going to bring it down with a hate.
Oh gosh.
I hate when someone starts talking to you, like interrupting you from a task, but without getting your attention first. So they're like halfway through their second sentence, and like it doesn't even register to me that they're talking to me. So then finally I'm like, wait, oh, there's a person here. Okay. What? Like, please repeat the last like 8 seconds of dialogue because I have no idea what you just said. And yeah, that's it. That's the whole scenario.
Has this happened to you, Dave? Can you relate?
Not really. I mean, I do have people, but I have it happen to me, but I usually don't even ask them to repeat. I just give them the nod of the uh-huh, okay. But it's like, yeah, it's like I didn't hear any of the beginning of that. I'm like, I don't know the context of anything that you're saying right now.
Is it them being rude on purpose, you think, or they're just not even aware of that?
um, I would want to say not aware of it, but it just happens all the time. So at some point it's just um, like, hey, can you be like, hey, John? And then I'll be like, what? And then you can say a thing and we'll be on the same page. But
Seeing you come out of your reverie is pretty funny. Maybe that's why they do it. You gotta sneak up on this asshole. Oh man, I don't think it's similar, but it's something weird where my boss, she would say my name, like I'm walking by and she'll be like, Vince, which is my name. So I'm like, I stop, I look at her, and she's not looking at me, she's like looking at something else. And I go up to her like, yeah, and then she looks at me and she's talking to me. But yeah, it's so weird. It's like I hear my name, but she's acting like she didn't or something. I don't know. That was weird. Does that
it's funny.
count?
I used to have a friend who would call and I'd be like, hello. And she'd be like, hey, what's up? I'm like, I don't know. You called me. How should I know what's up?
Uh yeah. Takes a lot of stoicism not to fly off the handle. I love that Dave is like, never experienced this, never heard of it, nothing.
I don't let those people affect me in any way.
Yeah, no, when I
I
heard
just
this,
think it's inefficient and frustrating for everyone involved because like I don't want to have to repeat myself if I'm them, but like I literally have no idea what they said.
I feel
yeah,
like I'm like the opposite. I'm like, hey, hello, hey, Sean, hey, Sean, I gotta talk to you about something, and like I really get their attention. So they're like, and I'm like, one of my big things is if you're gonna have a conversation with somebody or talk to somebody, be facing them, have them facing you, and be in the same room together. I hate it when people are like outside the room or in the doorway, they're facing the other way, and then they start talking to you, but like they're projecting their sound in a different direction, or they're like yelling at you from like down the hallway. And it's like, I'm right over here. Just walk over here and talk to me if you want to talk to me. Like, you don't have to be screaming where you're just gonna have to repeat what you need to say anyways. Just come over here, we'll talk face to face.
That's a really good point, Dave.
What? What? Couldn't hear you.
oh man, yeah. When you said your hate, John, I was like, this is gonna be one of those things where it's like just specifically for you, like how Dave is like, I hate it when people ask me if I need help.
But
So
like I I write these things and I can't believe they're not universal.
I have in my life, I have like noticed like when I get upset about like people offering not offering help or offering help, and I have found that there is literally zero consistency at all. Like sometimes I'm just upset and I'm crabby and I get upset by it. And it's just like, I'm crabby, so I'm upset now. And I'm like, there's no like logical reason behind it other than my mood.
Oh man. Okay, well segue challenge. Uh, wow.
I'm just in a stupor that this doesn't happen to you guys. That's all.
I'm trying to yeah, I read it and I was like, God, yeah, I'm glad Dave said it first, you know, like I have no relation. Yeah, I can't relate to you,
I
John.
don't know.
You
Maybe
are
it's just like having a
alien.
job where you're like in the zone. Like I don't know. Like if you were like writing, like you're working on your next screenplay, and I just started walked up to you and started talking to you, you would have no idea what I said for like the first 5 seconds.
What are their reactions when you say, "Hey, I didn't hear you. Stop just walking up to me and doing this." You'll end up on a podcast, my friend.
Oh, I didn't know I had to be so formal to get your attention. Excuse me.
Is that how they are? Real snotty. All right. Well,
Oh, requesting the attention of King John.
okay. Where are we at now? Did we make it the segue? I don't even remember.
Yeah, Dave was 2 sentences into his topic, and then we we
Yeah,
realized he was talking.
Uh, who's up? Dave?
yeah, it's me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So back to what I was saying before Ness just ignored it. Um, like Bigfoot and like the Loch Ness Monster, it was like my favorite thing when I was younger because I used to, I don't know, they had the TV shows on like History Channel. They're like, is the Loch Ness Monster real? Is Bigfoot real? And you had like the old footage from with like the guy in a, it seems like it's probably a guy in a giant like gorilla suit, and they're like, out in the like the big forest of Washington or Oregon somewhere, and you see the Bigfoot image and you're like, oh my gosh, it's him. And it was, it's like the Bigfoot version of like the Zapruder film, where it's like, oh my gosh, it's this old grainy footage, but this is the best evidence we have. Like Bigfoot like was so awesome to me when I was younger, but now they have like a million TV shows on finding Bigfoot and they've found nothing. Um, everybody has a cell phone camera on them. Nobody has any good footage of Bigfoot. I live in Oklahoma and like Bigfoot is like really big here in Oklahoma. Like people love Bigfoot. Everybody's got a freaking bumper sticker on the back of their car for Bigfoot, I guess. I don't understand it at all. And I'm like, if Bigfoot does exist, he definitely doesn't live in Oklahoma. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. With
He's a
that much like
Democrat.
exactly. He's going to be in the Pacific Northwest around Seattle. Duh. Like, he's got all this fur on him. He's not going to want to be in 100-degree weather in Oklahoma. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I don't know. Like all those things like used to be really cool, and it's kind of the same with like UFOs, where it's like, oh, that was super fascinating, and now I'm just kind of like over it, and I don't care. I'm just kind of jaded.
What about wait, you have Loch Ness Monster on this list.
Yeah, I used to really like that because it was like a sea creature. Because that one makes more sense. Where it's like, well, obviously you can't see it because if it's living in like the bottom of this, 1,000-foot deep lake, you're never gonna see it unless it comes up above. Um, and I don't know. And those documentaries were cool because they all had like an Irish accent or something. I'm not even sure where Loch Ness is from. Scotland,
I'm gonna
Ireland.
go
Maybe
Scotland.
Scotland, yeah. John, do you're a firm believer, I know it.
I am a Bigfoot. I, I was walking home from work one time and people saw me across the street. Like it was like 2 feet of snow and I was like lumbering through it, and they all said I was like Bigfoot. So that's my closest encounter. Um, I I not ruling out the existence of these things, but until any evidence of a better quality is provided, I'm gonna consider myself a skeptic. It is interesting to hear the stories of people though who like are convinced and like I know what I saw, like that kind of stuff. Um, like I listened to last podcast on the left, and they talk about a lot of UFO and cryptids and that kind of stuff fairly often. Like the stories are definitely always entertaining, but yeah, I don't care for them particularly one way or the other, I guess.
Um, I I gotta say, I thought the Loch Ness monster was debunked. No, I thought so.
It
Um,
might be. I think it might have been.
but and then the footage, that classic footage of Bigfoot walking, before it was debunked, before the guy admitted that he was in the suit and the other friend videotaped it, I remember them discussing this on TV shows where they're like, this expert says there's no way a man's shoulders can align with the spine, that is not a man's spine, that's like more of an ape or something like that, and you can't see where the zipper is, there's no spot for the zipper or something like that. But I remember watching this and I'm like, I want to believe. Like I wanted it to be like, oh, that's Bigfoot. That's so fucking cool. Because that is a Native American thing, the stink ape or whatever it's called. The Yeti it's known other places. Where's that at though?
That like the Himalayas and stuff.
Where's that at? Where are the
Like
Himalayas?
northern India, Tibet, Nepal, like those kind of
So
places.
both Indians got themselves a Bigfoot.
That's right.
So yeah, it's I believe I'll just say this. My mom, who I love and trust, says that she has seen him before. So I just take that as like fact. I'm like, all right, you know. Um, and I remember she's like, no, she refers to him as her friend, because I guess she's seen him about before. And we live deep in the woods, if you guys know about that. And I remember one winter though, gigantic footprints, like the size of those Bigfoot pizzas. Yeah, the size of or like, but no tracks leading up to my mom's bedroom window. And yeah, like I don't know, it's just something where you grow up and you're like, oh, it's real then. But yeah, if it turns out not to be real, that'll be very sad. But I I I lean towards real. The Loch Ness monster, not so much. Maybe because I'm not Scottish. And UFOs, like, what do you mean, Dave? Like, you don't believe in them, even though the government is like, look at these videos, they're real.
Well, I'm not saying that. I don't know. The thing, well, they're just kind of co-mingling in my brain because it's like you can look at all this evidence, but like all of the videotapes could all be faked. Like even like with UFO stuff, I'm certain that some of they're actual objects, but we don't know what they are. So if we can't really figure out what they are, then it doesn't mean anything to me. Where it's just like, well, I'm indifferent because like yeah, it's a light, but like if it was like Close Encounters of the Third Kind where they landed and somebody walked out the door, then I'd be like, "Oh shit, now it's time to pay attention because like shit's about to get real." Like with Bigfoot, it's just like I don't I think there's the legend of Bigfoot is based off of something real. I think there probably was a gigantic ape-like creature that lived. I think like there's some kind of in the fossil records, like there's some like large like 10-foot tall ape that used to exist. And they found like these big like skulls and stuff like archaeologists have. Like, I'm sure it existed like thousands of years ago, like when there was humans and Neanderthals living together. There's probably some Bigfoot out there, but I don't think they're around anymore because I feel like somebody would have snapped a picture of one.
Hmm. All right.
I do know the Bigfoot episode of Futurama was one of my favorites. I think I think that was the same one where the aliens wanted to take Fry's penis as an aphrodisiac, and they kept making like jokes about it.
All
Like,
right.
I didn't think I'd get away with my doodle, but I pulled it out. And Bender's like, just like at the movie theater.
Woo! Oh man. You guys ever see the movie Harry and the Hendersons?
Yeah, I grew up on that. I love that movie.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, great stuff. That yeah. I want to believe. I mean I do believe. Yeah, I believe. Sounds like Tenacious D. Like, you believe in Bigfoot? I believe.
I
I
believe.
believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, that's the end of the episode. Unless you have more stuff to say. A little Jersey Devil, Goat Man action. You got it? Mothman. Any of that?
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. Yeah. Um, we'll just wait for an all oops. I mean, oops, I'll take you. But until that time, if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. Make sure to go to a few goldilockbears.com. This was Vincent Cloud.
Make sure to leave us a Bigfoot pizza size 5-star review on your podcast player. This was John Nemitz.
This is David Lauer.